All right, we are allegedly recording. Bruce and I had a vacation last week. We kept you from having to deal with this. So anyway, how does that make sense? So Bruce, show everybody your coffee. Is that look at the size of that thing? That's like a paint can? How many cups do you a day?
How many of these?
Yeah.
2, 3.
Great.
Way down from my old counts.
I know. I mean, when I first met you, it was like you used to walk around with intravenous bags of coffee with little wheels on them and walk around. But
6 or 7 of these a day wouldn't have been unusual back then.
No, it wasn't unusual. So talk about unusual. I don't think. I keep thinking things can't get crazier. This week, those people were fighting about maple syrup, on Facebook, and that's a topic for another day. But I just had to sort of bring that up in terms of with all the stuff that's going on out there. There's folks like yapping about ridiculous things. I mean, maybe it's a great diversion. Maybe it's a version of fun. But
well, it's MMA, Ed. They're going to put Mrs. Butterworth in the ring in the octagon against Aunt Jemima.
There you go. But we got to think about that one. We'll be able to talk more about it next week when that starts to settle down a little bit. It's all flavored corn syrup to me anyway. But Wall Street Journal had this article, I guess this past week, about all the, COVID-19 and, everybody's an expert, but there's quite a bit of evidence. And just to, I guess, sum it up briefly, it's tough to catch, right? But it's really bad for close crowds with loud people. And I'm thinking, wow, think about the places that have a lot of close crowds with loud people, and that's New York. And everybody talks, and that's the attraction of it. And everybody talks about cures and everything, but this may sound frivolous, but how do people have fun in this environment? I mean, if you're a young person, how can you actually get out there and have some fun? That's what I'm wondering about.
Well, we always, how does this make sense? And
yeah.
It's so counterintuitive right now. I mean, I can walk down the street and clusters of people are standing outside the bars drinking and restaurants. And obviously you can't drink a drink with a mask on. So they're all, clustered, it's not, it's the idea of takeaway, but but you take it and you take 5 steps back and you stand there with your friends and drink. So how does this, it doesn't. And, I think people between the ages of 18 and 35 have convinced themselves if they get this will be no worse than a 2 or 3 day cold.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was that age, risk management wasn't high on my list of occupations that I wanted to listen to.
Right.
So right now, I don't know how they have fun. I mean, this is going to be a long, hot summer. It seems like wave 1 is still going. But the article you're talking about, well, it did talk about how it's difficult to get or is not as easy.
Right.
You kind of have to pull in enough of this virus into your body. So somebody running by you or walking by you, especially if you try and create distance, is unlikely to impact you. Doesn't mean it can't happen. You could be unlucky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unlikely. But to me, things don't get back to normal, Ed, or any semblance of normal until, what do they call that? Herd immunity?
Herd immunity. It's got to go through.
Yeah. So that's either some combination of people getting the vaccine and people catching it, assuming that you can't catch it again.
Assuming you can't catch it again. But yeah, I think it all comes down to this whole notion of trying to have fun. I mean, I saw this weird posting on Facebook. I got to stop looking at Facebook. But anyway, where some guy had this mask that when he moved his cheek, it opened it up like a duck bill. And he's able to eat, and he looked like Donald Duck. The whole thing. And I'm thinking, this is a great time for the furry people that like to dress up like animals. But the whole notion of masks, we were touching upon that a couple of weeks ago as sort of fashion statements and part of your overall attraction,
Right.
as part of your cosmetics, as part of your costume. It's probably in the early stages of exploring that potential. And you see some of that happening now, but how does that complement your face and like add to it, like almost like the suit of clothes that you're wearing or the jewelry that you're wearing?
Well, the less people see of us, Ed, it's got to be better for us.
Well, I posted that yesterday. That's the only reason I'm wearing a mask, to protect you from my face, which I don't even like looking at on here, which is also kind of cool because a couple people said, "Oh no, you're not ugly," but go ahead.
Well, it brings up from a marketing perspective, a bigger issue. I mean, there's been a general urbanization of America. Populations have been flooding cities for 100 years, and density has picked up. Cities have gotten bigger. Populations, bigger percentages of the populations in cities have gotten bigger as populations themselves outright. It'll be interesting to see whether there's a new suburbanization or a new ruralization and the impact that has on real estate prices. But I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, it's about how do you have fun?
Yeah. And it's already seemed to be about a generation that's been having less fun in many ways. It's just, or maybe we define it, we're looking at it from our particular perspective. But I'm just imagining these scenarios where if these masks become more of a cosmetic, where it's like, it's another thing that once it's unveiled, oh, I didn't know you look like that.
What's the old cartoons with the...
Yeah, exactly. I know. They can't show them anymore. All they can show are like cartoons that are still a bunch of screaming characters, but other stuff. But it's true. Well, clearly we don't have any solutions, but we all just got to keep focusing on how to make sense out of the unsensible, right?
Right. And listen, fun. I think, there's a generation that's more comfortable with digital tools, and they're going to have to and you're going to make sense of this is, I guess, digital dating. I mean, make dinner together.
Yeah.
Soon your whole house is going to look like a set with lights and camera just so you can interact with other people. I don't think that's happening. Or college campuses are opening up, but go ahead, Ed.
Or you can wear a full body condom, just kind of paint yourself with latex and you could go and do whatever you want. There are people that do that. I seen it on HBO. How does that make sense?
That's a wrap.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, my God.